Today we stand on the Sunday before the beginning of Great Lent, which begins tomorrow. It's called Forgiveness Sunday. And as you know, every day of the year, the Church brings forth to us commemorations of saints or main incidences that are valuable to our life here on earth to bring us to salvation. What is the commemoration today in the calendar, as it says there?
On this day, we commemorate the falling away of first created Adam from the fruit of paradise.
Are you kidding? Commemorations are usually for something holy and positive, for great saints. And we're commemorating the falling away of the whole cosmos, going into decay and wretchedness. What kind of commemoration is that is brought forth to us on this particular day? It makes no sense unless you understand what the situation here is. The whole cosmos was brought to heel and entered this phase of essentially self-destruction on that particular day. It only took a few words that could have stopped the whole thing. And what were they? What were those words? Very simple. Adam fell, did not repent. All he had to do was, Lord, forgive me for the sins that I've committed, thoughts, words, deeds or feelings, and everything would have been put right there and then. How simple is that? Such a simple thing. Yet for century upon century, and probably for centuries still to come, we are suffering the consequence of those few moments that Adam missed out on when he was able to heal the whole of his transgression. We all know that transgression is such that every person who born into this world suffers from it. Even Christ himself and his mother also suffered on the fallen nature that surrounded them and was embraced by them in order to show their full humanity, that they were truly human and truly part of the same sort of flesh and spirit that we possess. The reason that is brought forth today is not for us to commemorate as a positive thing the falling away of Adam, but rather to set the tone for what's going to happen in the next few weeks during Great Lent, which is the path of undoing that. Yes, undoing it. Our spiritual fathers used to say that if you keep that holy period of Great Lent holy and adhere to the Church's commandments and all those things, at Pascha you will be holy. And you know, many people have experienced that. Not in the sense that they're going to be fully glorified, because that only comes after the resurrection of the dead, but they attain this state which is closer to the one that Adam had before he fell. And indeed, some of them do become miracle workers and great saints of renown whom we trust as our guides in this life. This is important to remember. And all it takes is a few words. Forgive me for my transgressions in thoughts, words, deeds or feelings. That's why it's called Forgiveness Sunday, because on this particular day, after the liturgy, there's a short service of forgiveness where everybody begs forgiveness of each other and exchanges the thrice holy kiss on account of that. So that you go into this Lenten period not having on your conscience any sort of detrimental thoughts or feelings or attitudes to anybody else, including yourself. So if there is any enmity between you, or you put it aside, because that enmity, chances are, is so ridiculous and worthless before God that it's only wrecking your spiritual life and your spiritual progress towards the kingdom of heaven. This is important to understand because this whole Lenten period is all about this forgiveness and the shedding of the inclinations that we have to passions, to unrighteousness, to transgressions, which is that sickness that dwells in us, just like a person with pneumonia coughs and splatters all over. Our transgressions are the coughs and the splatterings of that fallen nature. That's what it is. When you transgress, it's a total indication of that sickness that dwells within you. And that's what our fight is during this period, is to try and subdue that, put it to rest, and possibly with God's help even eliminate it out of our soul. But at this stage, whilst we're still in the flesh, it's not possible to be completely put into a stage of immaculateness, in the stage where one can no longer ever transgress, because there have been many holy people attained great holiness and miracle working and everything, and fell again. Yes, fell again. And many again rose up, but nevertheless it shows that transgressional inclination and that variableness of the fallen flesh, that it's not set in concrete. That setting in concrete, that permanent holiness, can only occur after the great judgment, when all our things are going to be sorted out, purged, and those who have done the righteousness or strive for it will obtain that permanent state of life and non-death, and the others also get that, but they go into a place of torment, which is a horrible thing for all eternity, because eternity is something that we do see to some extent. As I've said to you, just look in the sky at night, and yet we try and sort of brush it along that it's only a few years or something like that, but no, it's an eternal state. All these weeks that are coming up in Great Lent, the Sundays have a particular theme about them, which is of necessity to make us grow spiritually. Next week is the Sunday of Orthodoxy, where we are again reminded of the humanity of Christ and of everybody else, particularly in the form that we see every day through the icons, which were allowed on that particular time when they were once banned, but were brought back into service in the church. Such is the beginning of this period. And as we just read from the Synaxarion, that because of food, that is, because of partaking of something, this transgression came. Now, by not partaking of certain things, we can start to walk the path of righteousness again. So there's all these sort of themes going through theologically backwards and forwards to assist us in our life. The fast, as I've often said to you, in this day and age, in our period, becomes much harder than you imagine. Even though we have thousands of different foodstuffs available to us, majority of them are not nourishable to the human body, and therefore you have to be careful. As it says, don't go overboard showing that you are fasting, but do your best in that respect. The most important thing, of course, is to keep your spiritual life in the fast. That is, not to have anything transgression or grow in your soul against others or against yourself, or indulge in any things that are forbidden as such by the church. That is the most important thing in our time. And unfortunately, many people, I find, don't do that. They sort of look at the externals of things, but they forget what's happening in their heart, what the real story is. Imagine if right now you were totally honest and wrote down what you were thinking about yourself and others right now. Examine it. Is it good? because God sees it. Would you be ashamed before God if that was presented to you right now? Or would you rejoice as it being something truthful? And if it is shameful, that shows your spiritual state. And that's what you have to work on. And unfortunately, again, in our times, I find that few places concentrate on that. But it's, it's all sort of a lot of, is there any milk in this biscuit or something like that, Well, big deal. How's that going to affect you in any way? God help us in this struggle, and may we begin this fast period for this year that has been given to us in the right frame and complete it in the right frame, which is very important, so that we can meet the risen Lord. Amen.